The following video is brought to you by WWE Slam Crate, a bi-monthly mystery box for fans of the WWE, loaded with exclusive and authentic collectibles and apparel that you can't get anywhere else. Sign up today and save 10%. Bill Goldberg back in the WWE having a match with Brock Lesnar. Is this the ultimate WWE 2K17 promotion, or is this real life? So Bill Goldberg and Brock Lesnar having a match together. We are joined by ANGO here, who talked about Bill Goldberg coming back to WWE a little bit. How's it going, ANGO?
It's going very well. TonyPizzaGuy, it's good to be back here on your channel. What's going on, man?
So we wanted to give a little insight on Goldberg coming back to WWE. I know we want to get into officially what's going to be happening, but what was coming out like leading up to this about Goldberg and WWE?
Yeah, so essentially, it all started with WWE 2K17. Bill Goldberg announced as the pre-order special. So for those who haven't pre-ordered WWE 2K17, this is not a plug or anything like that, but just so you know, if you do pre-order the game, you do get Goldberg as a unlockable character. So it kind of started off with that, and down the line, more reports were coming out that it was going to be possible Bill Goldberg would return to the WWE. Now, flash forward to today, and there's already reports from Jim Ross in which Bill Goldberg will be announcing tomorrow on SportsCenter that he has inked a deal with WWE to compete against Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series.
And Jim Ross verbatim says, another source says that Goldberg and Brock is a done deal and it will likely go down at Survivor Series. If true, bravo, WWE. And do we really want to give this a bravo? I mean, is this something that we want to see? Because the first match was sort of lackluster. And is this another match that we actually want to see?
Well, Tony, I have to be honest with you. I did do a breakdown of this potential matchup on my channel. And one of the things that I had talked about was Goldberg's age. Now, Brock Lesnar defeated the streak of The Undertaker. And obviously, he's had a very great run. He has been very dominant. Lately, we have seen him do his matchup with Randy Orton. And obviously, a match with Goldberg could be very detrimental to his career if he were to lose to Goldberg. So it's kind of interesting seeing that, Bill Goldberg's coming back. I think, he's like 47 years old at this point.
He's 49. 49. He's almost 50.
Wow. So, yeah, when you just look at it from the perspective of age and, does it make sense? Yeah, I'm sure for a lot of people, they're going to think that Bill Goldberg coming back makes sense financially for the WWE. I'm sure it's going to bring in some views and some ratings, and obviously that's going to help Monday Night Raw. But I think the point that I'm trying to make here is simply that at this age, now that you have actually mentioned that he's 49 years old, I just don't think it makes sense to have Bill Goldberg come in and be the next feud for Brock Lesnar. And unfortunately, Brock Lesnar beat the shit out of Randy Orton, and I'm trying to figure out why, who benefits from this feud. Because if Goldberg wins, he just goes into the Hall of Fame, and whatever happens, happens. And if Lesnar loses, he loses all momentum that he's had for the last several years at this point. So I'm not really sure what the goal is or what the end game is, but I don't think this is a great situation, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't really know, because all the reports that I heard from Goldberg, like I was at the SummerSlam event and Goldberg was there. I didn't actually get to interview him, but, I was listening to the interviews that were going on, and people were like, so you and Brock, are you going to ever have a match again? And they're like, his response, Goldberg had the best PR response that he could possibly say. Yeah, you can play the match in WWE 2K17. So that's what Goldberg's response was like. And then he's like, what about real life? And he's like, this is as real as it gets, dude. So, Goldberg made it seem like there was no way that he would come back. But maybe, Vince McMahon, money talks, that kind of thing. So that's what sparked the deal here with Goldberg. There had to be something that would make both parties happy, because I feel like Goldberg would be a tough guy that would be like, all right, if I'm going to come back, it has to be right. And I don't think that Brock Lesnar would be the one to be like, yeah, I'll just lose to Goldberg, So again, I don't know what this is, who this is benefiting really.
Exactly.
Like, they did that. Let's talk about like Brock Lesnar's past match. They did Brock and Randy Orton, and then Brock just destroys Randy Orton, ends in a KO, and then Brock's gone, but Orton's still around, and then that really didn't like benefit Brock,
Yeah.
and it didn't benefit Orton. So, I mean, it feels like a lot of what Brock Lesnar is doing is cool when it happens, but then after the fact, it's like it doesn't really do anything. Like, I totally forgot Brock Lesnar was WWE champion at one point,
Yeah.
like in his return since he came back. So, like, him and Goldberg, like, I don't really know what this is going to do. I guess they're just trying to sell Survivor Series. Are we going to treat this like its own thing? Like WrestleMania has like those moments that you like. I feel like WrestleMania is just a show about WrestleMania. It doesn't matter what happens the rest of the year. Like you'll see The Rock, you'll see, a bunch of people that aren't usually there. Is this what we're getting at Survivor Series? Like just big matchups to sell a pay-per-view?
Yeah, I mean that very well does make sense. One thing I do want to touch on, because I feel like all along this was the plan, and you can tell me if you agree or not, and I'm sure the people in the comments will have their own opinion. But a couple years ago, WWE 2K had the Ultimate Warrior as the pre-order bonus or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then the Ultimate Warrior is the headliner for the Hall of Fame. He comes back, and he kind of created that relationship for WWE. Um, Also, the same thing with Sting. I feel like at some point, you know, I don't know how the communication works between WWE games and WWE, but I feel like at some point they're communicating or they're coming up with a plan to bring in the big name for the next year, right? So we've seen it before, obviously, with Bruno and all these guys, and now Goldberg. And I don't know if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's just a coincidence. Maybe WWE Games is bringing up, these names that have a lot of potential to help sell the game. But I'm just very curious to know what that process is like because, the minute that I saw Bill Goldberg in the commercial or the trailer or whatever for WWE 2K17, I instantly thought that he would be coming back to be a Hall of Famer, in next year. So it's just very interesting how things have been happening these past few years. And I don't know if it's a coincidence. I don't know if I'm wrong. I don't know if you agree or disagree. But, I just feel like it's something that I had to kind of touch on because of the fact that, maybe it does make sense, right? Like Survivor Series, like you just need to have great matchups. You need to have a great main event. And what way to do that? You can have Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, two big names, and it's going to sell regardless if if people think it's not going to, they're absolutely wrong. You bring back Goldberg, you know, people still know who he is. And thanks to WWE Network for $9.99 a month, you can watch all the latest, all the greatest and latest of Bill Goldberg anyway. So
Well, let me
at the
kind of
end,
explain how the process works because I actually dove into the minds of the devs and asked them, like, do you just like decide what goes on or who gets in the game? And they go, we pitch who we want to be in the game, and then they come back and say yes or no. So, and then WWE obviously has their own agenda as well, where they're like, we need to make this guy our cover star. Like, I think like when CM Punk was a cover star, they kind of just were fans of CM Punk, and then it kind of just worked out that they could get him in, and like, so I think like you're saying like with it worked out with Bruno and then Warrior, and now we got Goldberg. So I think that's what they're going for here. So whoever we have like as our big like DLC next year, you can probably think they're going to go in the Hall of Fame. I think Goldberg should be in the Hall of Fame this year. If this is true, they have to put him over Brock Lesnar, I guess, if they're going to put him in the Hall of Fame. But then again, they brought Sting back, and you saw how that all played out, and he did not end very well in the WWE.
his two wins were in the same night, one by DQ and then one, I think it was like tag teaming with John Cena.
Yeah, it was a tag team. Yeah.
Against Big Show.
Well, let's talk about this potential Goldberg return, right? So if he does return, we're obviously thinking he's going to have a big moment. And some are speculating that Hell in a Cell, Goldberg could make a return with Brock Lesnar just making a promo with Heyman in the ring, or and then Goldberg interrupts it, and then they set it for a match. or
Yeah.
or they could do it on Monday Night Raw. But I'm thinking like Survivor Series would be better if they promote it with Hell in a Cell, and then that gets people to tune in network stuff like that. I don't know. What are your
Well, if I
thoughts?
yeah, so if I have to assume how this is going to play out, my big assumption will be that tomorrow on ESPN, Bill Goldberg will 100% confirm his return to the WWE because that is why he's there. So you're not going to send Bill Goldberg to ESPN to say, "Yeah, you know what? I'm not with the WWE and I don't plan on it." It just doesn't make sense, you know? So he's going to go on ESPN. He's going to announce the time or the exact day that he will debut. I don't think he's gonna. Truthfully, I don't think he's gonna come out of nowhere and spear somebody. I see this being a situation where he's gonna come out, cut a promo, and they're gonna build between Goldberg and Heyman, whatever the case may be. Obviously, I feel like Stephanie and Mick Foley will have a role into that, because they brought him back. It's just gonna be all kayfabe or whatever. And then I think they're gonna set up the match for Survivor Series. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is kind of stepping away from the main discussion of Goldberg versus Lesnar.
Yeah.
But if I was gonna bring in Goldberg, honestly, I don't think he'll do the job. But if you really want to cement your next big monster, I'd put him in the ring with Braun Strowman. It probably wouldn't be an entertaining match. I don't know, but I would love to see Braun Strowman just like squash him, and maybe that's too out of reach, and maybe that's ridiculous, but. I feel like at the same time, there's a lot of emerging talent, and I'm not sure if Goldberg's the type of guy that would want to put over the emerging talent. But with the rising crop in the WWE, I just feel like this build up for Goldberg and Lesnar is nothing special, I guess, in my opinion, unless something big comes out of it. So, if he's gonna just randomly show up at Hell in a Cell and hit somebody with a spear, like, that's cool, whatever, nostalgia. People are gonna be cool with it, and then, you know, maybe they'll lead to a Lesnar match. But Lesnar's not on Monday Night Raw regularly, so it kind of poses an issue where it's just a random feud being thrown together. This way, if they announce him on ESPN, you see next week on Raw, Mick Foley gets congratulated by Stephanie for pulling that out. You know, who knows? Maybe they could build something.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're gonna probably announce something. I don't think that he would go on ESPN to say check out WWE 2K17. That just doesn't seem like, like why would you go? Why would you have him go on ESPN just to promote the game? I feel like there's got to be more,
Yeah.
but I don't know like how they're gonna do it because again, it's kind of just a weird. It's like a weird thing, right? Because it's like you put these two together. How do you do it properly, and what's gonna happen? So I don't know. It's a very weird thing, and like who do you put over? How do you plan it? What's the end game here? I guess you have it go the way it does. Goldberg goes over. Maybe they got him on a Paul Heyman on a Brock Lesnar contract, right, where he does big matches. Like maybe he can do one at Survivor Series and then do one at WrestleMania, something like that, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things where this is probably there's very few times in the wrestling industry where where you legitimately just don't know what they're gonna do. And what I mean by that is, I think for a long time a lot of people had the idea that Goldberg was gonna come back, right? I think it was in people's minds. Obviously, they weren't thinking about it through every day, but it was always that big conversation. Goldberg, are you going to call him back? And in interviews, he either denied it or he would say something along the lines of wanting to show his kids that, he used to do this stuff on a daily basis, right? This was his career for a very long time. He wants them to witness him in the ring. So he's given mixed responses. The only thing I could think of is if this is going to be Goldberg's, ride into the sunset. I'm not opposed to doing the contract like Brock Lesnar, just a couple big matches because, if you have him go over Brock Lesnar, maybe you have him go over, you know, maybe you have him go over in a quick match. I don't know what they would do, but let's just say Goldberg becomes like this legitimate contender. Maybe it does make sense to give him a WrestleMania match in which he loses to somebody who's been, who's on the rise. Maybe that's where it makes sense to put him against Braun Strowman, or. There's so much talent.
I was gonna say you could do like a Roman Reigns match, but you know, that'll probably get him hate too. But I also forgot to mention, I just was looking it up. Goldberg actually tweeted out, reading the internet, dot, dot, dot. You never know who to believe, do you? Hashtag who's next.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar's next, that's for sure. I'm 99% positive that's it's gonna be Goldberg versus Lesnar.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking that whatever happens, Goldberg will probably come back into the Hall of Fame. So whether he signs a wrestling contract and actually does the match with Brock Lesnar, we can predict that Goldberg is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. And last thing I want to touch on, just because it kind of came to my mind, but with the way WWE's been these past few months, obviously a lot of unexpected title opportunities and things like that. It might be a good idea for WWE to implement some sort of stipulation. And what I mean by that, obviously we've seen guys like Kevin Owens win the title, AJ Styles win the title. The cruiserweight division has come back. I want WWE to do something that's completely different with this match. You know, maybe it is retirement. I don't know. Maybe it's like a retirement match. Like, hey, Lesnar, if you lose, you retire. Goldberg, if you lose, you retire.
Are they
Like
going to
something
do the
like that.
same thing where Brock Lesnar just flips off the crowd again and then they both just leave and the crowd hates the match?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But I want them to do something different in this situation. There's been so many new ideas in the past few months. I just feel like this would be a good time to do something new. I'm not opposed to the match. I'd prefer to see a guy like Braun Strowman get a good rub by beating Goldberg. But if we're gonna get Lesnar versus Goldberg, let's do something special. Let's make it better than the first one. This I feel like this is Vince McMahon's way of saying, "Hey, we fucked up the first time. We need to redo it, and let's do it." You know,
I mean, whether it happens or not, it's good promotion for the video game, and whatever comes of this is going to be pretty exciting. I don't think he's going to have as bad of a career as Sting did when he came back, but I mean, because Goldberg still looks in great shape, so
yeah, very true.
it's just whether him and Brock are going to be able to mesh well at this point in their career, since Brock is more of like the real deal. Maybe Goldberg will accidentally kick him in the head, and then Brock will have to retire like Bret Hart. Who knows? But I'm excited to see what's going to happen. So definitely going to be tuning in to Raw and checking out to see what's going on with Goldberg. But I don't know. Any final thoughts on this?
No, I'm very excited to see what happens. I don't know if this is something that I want, but I'm going to try to enjoy it. That's what I've been doing with Monday Night Raw. You know, I feel like SmackDown's been the better brand, so maybe this could help Raw in its ratings. And honestly, you know, just as a wrestling fan, I grew up watching Goldberg, so we'll see what happens, and hopefully they can pull it off. And I will be, I know for a fact I'll be playing with him in WWE 2K17, so that's all that really matters.
And this is on you, Jim Ross, if he doesn't come back. It's all your fault. It's all your fault if he doesn't come back, Jim Ross. You got our hopes up, but it looks like it's a done deal. So we'll see. We'll tune in, and we'll let you guys know any more updates we got. Make sure you check out his channel, youtube.com/ANGOYT, for some awesome content. And we'll wrap it up here. You want to sign us out?
Oh, thank you guys so much for watching. Lots of good things happening in the future with Tony Pizza Guy and Ango, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys.